Newcastle acted quickly this week after being alerted to the availability of Jacob Ramsey because Aston Villa need to sell a player for their own financial reasons. So Newcastle made contact with Aston Villa on Monday. Some talks have taken place behind the scenes since then. There was a little bit of uncertainty last night as to whether a deal would be struck, but finally it was struck this afternoon after Newcastle and Aston Villa agreed a fee of £39 million plus a potential £4 million in add-ons for the midfielder. Of course, that represents pure profit to Aston Villa, and for Newcastle, it's a long-term replacement for Sean Longstaff, who of course was sold to Leeds United just last month. Of course, there's been so much speculation surrounding Alexander Isak. That situation has not been healthy, but quietly in the background, Newcastle have got to work in bringing in players, and the last week has been positive for them. Malik Chow arriving from AC Milan for £35 million. That one was announced a couple of days ago. And now Jacob Ramsey, who's currently on his way to the northeast and will begin his Newcastle medical this evening.
Is this the signing that changes everything at St James Park? While the media focuses on departures and drama, Newcastle have just pulled off their most strategic move of the window. The silence before the storm is about to end. What's up, Toon Army? This is NUFC Quick News, your source for raw black and white passion. We're about to break down the Jacob Ramsey deal that nobody saw coming, so smash that subscribe button and let's get into it. Right, let's cut through the noise. Jacob Ramsey is on his way to Newcastle United. Agreement reached for around $40 million total package. And this isn't just another signing. This is Eddie Howe making a statement about where this club is heading. Now here's what the mainstream media won't tell you. This deal happened because Aston Villa desperately needed to sell for PSR reasons, not because they wanted to lose their academy gem. Newcastle acted with lightning speed this week, making contact on Monday and agreeing terms by Thursday afternoon. Ramsey is currently travelling north for his medical as we speak. While other clubs were still thinking about it, Eddie Howe was already closing his deal. What do you think about Newcastle finally securing a major target? Are we about to announce our biggest signing of the window? Let's talk about what we're actually getting here. Jacob Ramsey isn't just another midfielder. He's a long-term replacement for Sean Longstaff, who moved to Leeds for $15 million last month. But here's the genius part. We're not just replacing like for like. We're upgrading massively. Ramsey brings something we've been crying out for since Bruno Guimaraes arrived. He's that box-to-box midfielder who can ghost into dangerous positions between the lines. The lad's got 17 goals in 167 appearances for Villa, and that's playing in a more restrictive system under Unai Emery. Imagine what he can do with the freedom Eddie Howe gives his midfielders. Have you seen those runs he makes from deep, the way he finds space in the final third? Tell me in the comments if you think this solves our creativity issues. Now let's address the elephant in the room, the Alexander Isak situation. While that saga has dominated headlines and frankly been unhealthy for everyone involved, Eddie Howe has been quietly building the foundation for next season. First, Malik Thiaw for $35 million from AC Milan, now Ramsey. This is strategic planning at its finest. The timing of this breakthrough is absolutely perfect. We're set to get Ramsey just before we face Villa this Saturday, though he'll face a race against time for registration with the Friday 12 p.m. deadline. Sources suggest his medical is happening tonight, but even if he's not available for Villa, imagine the psychological impact this signing sends. Would you start Ramsey against Villa if he's cleared to play? Or is that too much pressure for his first appearance? Here's what separates this signing from our usual transfer business. Villa actually wanted to keep him. Unai Emery publicly stated in January that Ramsey was very important when we tried to sign him then. That tells you everything about his quality. When a manager like Emery fights to keep a player and we still manage to get him, that's serious business. The versatility factor cannot be overlooked either. Ramsey can play as an 8, a 10, or even drift wide left when needed. That flexibility is pure gold in Eddie Howe's system. Remember how Bruno transformed when he was given the freedom to roam? Ramsey could have that same impact. Don't forget to hit that notification bell if you want the latest on every Newcastle move. We're building something special here. Let's talk numbers for a moment. Around $40 million for a 24-year-old England youth international who's proven in the Premier League and Champions League. In today's market, that's actually smart business. Compare that to what other clubs are paying for potential rather than proven quality. But here's the real kicker. This signing sends a message to every player we're targeting. It shows we can compete with the big boys when it matters. No more being used as leverage for better contracts elsewhere. No more watching our targets choose rivals. We're back in the conversation. The injury concerns some fans have raised about Ramsey need context. Yes, he missed time last season, but he still managed 45 appearances across all competitions. That's more than most players in our squad. And at 24, he's entering his prime years with his best football ahead of him. Have you done your research on Ramsey's injury record? Drop your thoughts below. Are you worried or confident about his fitness? What excites me most is how this fits into our long-term vision. We're not just buying players anymore. We're building a team. Howe gives us defensive solidity. Ramsey provides creative spark. And when you add that to what we already have with Bruno, Joelinton and Sandro Tonali returning from suspension, this midfield looks serious. The academy product angle works for both clubs too. Villa get pure profit for PSR, which helps them comply with regulations, while we get a player who understands Premier League intensity from day one. No adaptation period, no settling in time, just immediate impact. Speaking of impact, if you're buzzing about this signing, make sure you like this video and share it with fellow Toon fans. Here's something the pundits won't mention. This signing proves our pull factor is still massive. When a player like Ramsey, who had options with West Ham and others, chooses Newcastle, it validates everything we're building under Eddie Howe. The project is real, and top players can see it. The Champions League factor cannot be understated either. Ramsey gets to play in Europe's elite competition this season, something that clearly influenced his decision. That's the level we're operating at now, and it's attracting the caliber of player we need to stay there. Looking at our midfield depth now, Bruno anchoring Joelinton's energy, Tonali's creativity when he returns, and now Ramsey's versatility. Eddie Howe has options for any tactical situation. Europa League Thursday? Premier League Sunday? No problem. What formation do you want to see with Ramsey in the team? 4-3-3 with him as the attacking 8, or something different? The business side of this deal is equally impressive. We've moved quickly, agreed reasonable terms, and avoided a drawn-out saga that could have affected squad morale. Professional, efficient, and decisive. Exactly how Eddie Howe likes to operate. For those questioning whether we needed another midfielder, remember that football is played over 50-plus games a season. Injuries happen, rotation is essential, and having quality options makes the difference between challenging for trophies and falling short when it matters. This signing also shows we're learning from past windows. No more panic buying in the final week, no more missing out because we waited too long. When the opportunity presented itself with Villa needing to sell, we struck immediately. Before we finish, let me know. What other positions do you think we still need to strengthen before the window closes? The Ramsey deal represents everything positive about our current direction. Smart recruitment, perfect timing, and a player who genuinely wants to be here. When you combine that with Eddie Howe's development record, we could be looking at our best signing in years. Smash that like button if you're buzzing about Jacob Ramsey joining the Toon Army, and hit subscribe to never miss an NUFC update. This is exactly the type of business that shows we mean serious business this season. Until next time, stay proud, stay loud, and always keep the faith. Howe the lads.